Historia NTV.
Tonight, we unpack a battle that has defined Kenya's devolution journey for more than a decade. The long-standing tensions between the Senate and governors. This week, that fight exploded again. On one side, the senators say they are protecting taxpayers' money and demanding accountability for billions sent to counties. On the other, governors say they're being harassed, humiliated, extorted, and even politically targeted. Several governors have now been named on what senators are calling a list of shame for repeatedly snubbing Senate summons, while the Council of Governors has opted to snub the Senate summons altogether. But beneath the drama, who is really protecting public interest? The latest standoff began after the Senate County Public Accounts Committee, chaired by Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang, accused several governors of repeatedly ignoring summons to answer audit queries.
The governors continue appearing almost every week to summons, to invitations by all other committees of the Senate and even the National Assembly, except CPAC.
According to the Senate County Public Accounts Committee, at least 28 governors have failed to honor Senate summons, prompting threats of fines of up to 500,000 shillings.
If a governor does not appear before any committee, there are also penalties which are cheaper. Yes, the penalties is 500,000 which you pay. So it ends up even being cheaper for not appearing.
Arrest warrants.
Hata juzi kuna wengine waliambiwa wangewekwa jela. Tunashanga kwani jela zilijengewa kina nani? Na ni nani hapa mnaona ambaye hawezi enda jela na akatoka?
And recommendations that repeat offenders be barred from future public office.
Especially the 29 governors who have really shown us the middle finger. We really need to deal with them perpendicularly, Honorable Speaker.
We invited them, they didn't come. Re-invited them, they didn't come. Issued summons, they ignored. Summoned them again, they ignored. And so we asked the Inspector General of Police to find them and bring them before the Senate.
Among those caught up in the latest showdown is Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, who was threatened with arrest before eventually appearing before the Senate.
We're here to look for the governor, so we take him to the Senate.
Which Senate committee operates at night? Where were they going to escape Sakaja to? So these are drama of intimidation. That's not going to solve the problem.
Samburu Governor Jonathan Nelelit also found himself at the center of dramatic scenes after senators attempted to stage a citizen's arrest in keeping with Speaker Amason Kingi's orders.
I want to request, Mr. Speaker, if you can allow us to go and do a citizen arrest to these people and take them to the police.
The governor of Samburu is under a warrant of arrest. Order.
Senator, come here.
You have to be at the Senate. Yes.
Leo, Gavana ameponea chupu-chupu.
You know, and I wondered what kind of a warrior my brother is to run off and take off instead of facing the consequences. Mr. Speaker, I would have stood there and faced the consequences, Mr. Speaker.
The message from the Senate leadership has been blunt. Ignoring Parliament is no longer an option.
Appearance before a parliamentary committee is not a buffet, Mr. Speaker, where you pick what you like and you leave what you don't like, Mr. Speaker. This is a mandatory exercise to which you must undertake so long as you interact with public resources, Mr. Speaker.
Let's not send money to the counties if they cannot account for that money. That is the only time that will ensure accountability in this country.
That hardline position is increasingly gaining support within the Senate. Counties are currently receiving an equitable share allocation of 415 billion shillings in the 2025-2026 financial year. But governors are now pushing for that figure to rise to about 534 billion shillings in the next financial year, arguing that counties need more money for health, salaries, and devolved functions.
21 billion shillings that this house, not Sifuna, this house gives Nairobi 21 billion Kenya shillings. If the senator of Bungoma sitting in a committee cannot ask Sakaja questions about utilization of that resources, then how will I be able to convince you next time that you need to support me for more resources for Nairobi?
But governors insist there's another side to this story. The governors say they acknowledge the Senate's oversight role, but argue that some senators are abusing that power.
With respect to extortion, harassment, intimidation, and embarrassment at Senate committees is not a matter to be taken lightly.
In February 2026, the Council of Governors publicly listed 4 senators they claimed should be removed from Senate watchdog committees.
If it were possible for that committee to write to governors and say, we have invited you to come and speak, however, the following 4 senators will not be in the committee, we will appear, because that is our problem. Because you cannot continue engaging people who engage you on a different level that is not lawful with impunity. It is not possible.
My brother, smell the coffee. The moment you decide to put yourself out there to become a leader, the one thing that is required of you is to grow thick skin. If you cannot grow thick skin, you might as well just resign and go home and take care of the camels.
If they don't like Sifuna's face, it's fine. This is not about Sifuna. And I have said and I've repeated here, there is no senator here who cannot do the job that Sifuna does. That's the reason why all of us were elected here. So if Sifuna's face at County Public Accounts Committee is somewhat unpleasant, we can try Senator Mundiki's face. I don't have a problem. Let us try Senator Joyce Korir. If they think Senator Joyce Korir will not ask about money being taken from Kipes to go and throw a bash for border borders, they are very mistaken. If they think Senator Korir will allow them to withdraw money from the county coffers so that they can throw a housewarming party like they did in Vihiga, it is not going to be possible.
Do you want us to be nice to governors? Do you want us to give them Christmas cards or love cards, or them to send them emojis of beauty, Mr. Speaker? We cannot, we should not allow, Mr. Speaker. Even if they are called excellencies, there is nothing excellent about them. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing excellent. When you saw the governor of Machakos, he bought milk and branded her face on the milk, Mr. Speaker. You want us to celebrate them?
That is why governors have currently boycotted the Senate sessions this year.
I would not be comfortable moving any further step in defiance of the resolution of the Council of Governors.
You can't pretend to be solving a problem when you are a problem yourself. That is one of the most corrupt committee, and I dare say that because mimi najua.
But while governors say they are being targeted, the law is largely on the Senate's side. This battle did not start today. It began almost immediately after devolution started in 2013. Back then, several governors argued that only county assemblies, not the Senate, had the power to question them over county finances. The dispute escalated in 2014 after governors from Kiambu, Kisumu, Murang'a, and Bomet refused to appear before the Senate. The Senate then recommended that the National Treasury stop sending money to those counties and asked the Controller of Budget to freeze withdrawals. The matter went to court and eventually reached the Supreme Court. In a landmark judgment delivered in 2022, the Supreme Court said county assemblies remain the first line of oversight at the county level. But the judges also ruled clearly that the Senate has the constitutional power to summon governors and demand answers on county finances. The court further found that Senate oversight is not limited only to money sent from the national government, but can also extend to locally generated county revenue. The Constitution itself is clear. Article 185 gives county assemblies oversight powers over county executives. Article 96 says the Senate represents counties, protects county governments, and oversees the national revenue allocated to counties. And Article 125 gives Parliament the power to summon any person to appear before it. That is why senators insist they are not overreaching.
They live in manicured mansions. They drive $200,000 or $300,000 cars, mismanaging money. They traverse the entire country with helicopters. But when they are called to account for the money, they cannot.
Mr. Speaker, we must call these thieves for who they are. Whether they are in one term or two term, they are thieves. It will never change, Mr. Speaker. And we must prosecute them, Mr. Speaker.
Especially the 29 governors who have really shown us the middle finger. We really need to deal with them perpendicularly, Honorable Speaker.
But this fight is also about politics and relevance. In many ways, this has been a battle over who is the real political big man in the county, the governor or the senator.
I know they're aspiring to be governors, so they want to fundraise for their war chest.
Honestly speaking, what is required now is some level of sobriety, some level of maturity, not from this house, but from the Council of Governors.
We're being grown-ups as governors here. We're being grown-ups. If we were not conscious of protecting the integrity of that house, we could have played it out in the public court with respect to evidence that we have.
Magavana wanatoa pesa, watu wanakula hapo. Tena mnarudi hapo kwa hiyo flow, mnageuka. Kama wewe ni mtu mngwana, kula unyamazi.
Tuna ushahidi wa kutosha. Na isiwe kwamba kuna mtu ambaye anafikiria atatutisha sisi.
5 most notorious county governors. They are the ones inciting the other people.
And then there are those who argue that if governors are innocent, then they should simply appear, answer questions, and move on. Several governors have done exactly that.
I'm here because I have nothing to hide.
But not every appearance has gone smoothly. There have been moments where governors have struggled to answer even basic audit questions, leaving senators and the public stunned.
It will be good for the whole country to see for themselves the sort of amazing things that we are told in County Public Accounts Committee. When you ask somebody to show you what they utilized money on and they tell you that they gave supplements to wild animals who are being given special food, and there's children in this country going hungry.
Is this what you have come with to confirm that 1 million was spent on sodas? You see, this is forgery. Is there a date on this payment voucher?
The date is not clear in the payment.
Can you make a payment on a payment voucher without a date? Can you swear by this payment voucher that it is a proper accounting record?
I can't swear.
Because so if you cannot swear, then whatever else you're going to say is completely irrelevant and a waste of our time.
You have also told us that 55.9 million was spent on seedlings in a county that has perennial drought situations.
What type of seedlings?
Can you give us the assurance that the 55.9 million worth of seedlings are traceable, and tell us the test that you carried out?
I don't have the numbers, but I can tell we have seedlings we supply to farmers along the river, all types of seeds, maize and then the vegetables.
Governor, maize does not come from seedlings. Yeah, he's a prolific maize eater. We are talking about seedlings.
No, you know, it's the coding. The coding. All the farm products we put under that.
If you come here with embarrassing records, we will embarrass you. If you come here with embarrassing responses, we will embarrass you. If your audit reports are an embarrassment indicative of theft, we will not bembeleza you.
Those moments have become some of the Senate's most memorable grilling sessions, and the reason why for some governors, these summons are starting to feel like being called to the principal's office after everyone already knows what you did.
I suspect, dear colleagues, that the 29 governors who chose not to appear are actually the originators of this silly idea of non-appearance.
And so as this latest battle escalates, the bigger issue is no longer whether governors should appear before the Senate. The courts have already answered that question. They should. The real question now is whether the Senate can exercise that power fairly and without political abuse. In the end, this is not just a fight between senators and governors. It is a fight over taxpayers' money. If governors will not explain and senators will not oversee fairly, then devolution itself is at risk. And that is why this conversation matters now more than ever. Because devolution was never meant to protect leaders from scrutiny. It was meant to protect taxpayers from abuse.